Hello, my name is Ken Small and I'm an architect in Las Vegas, Nevada. My question today is, why would you want to hire an architect for your upcoming construction project in the Las Vegas area? The first thing to address in this would be some people think that they're going to save money by not hiring an architect, and this could be true, but just so you're aware, the total architectural and engineering fees are generally less than what the general contractor's profit is. So if the architect and his team are able to contribute, say, 10% to problem avoidance or increased value, then there's a net gain there over going with, say, having the contractor provide theoretically free plans. I'll talk more about contractors' free plans in another video. But assuming they are free, if the architect were able to contribute 10% of value, then that would be more than the total profit of the general contractor. So by hiring an architect and doing a bidding process with general contractors, either having the architect do it or using his plans to do it, you could potentially save more than the architect's fee. And then by having the architect do the design work with his AE team, you could potentially save at least as much as the contractor's profit and more than likely additional money beyond that. So that's the cost of services versus savings or increased value is the first item. The second one is training or experience. So compare this with you're just going to draw your own plans for your house, possibly. For commercial buildings, it's actually not allowed, but we'll say in this example, it's going to be a house, and so you're going to draw your own plans. The least qualified architect, the one who just got licensed, who just got out of college and just passed the exams, is going to have a 4-year undergraduate degree and a 2-year master's. So that's 6 years plus 3 years of internship, which is 9 years of training and experience just to be able to draw as an architect. And so obviously, you're not going to be able to train yourself, even if you're the smartest person, in the equivalent of that. And then, of course, the average architect has probably got 20 years of training experience. So if for some reason you prefer to work with younger people, that's good too. If you prefer more experience, that's good too. It depends on the nature of your project and your personality. But what I'm saying is 9 years is the minimum. So you're not going to be able to learn enough to know the equivalent of what 9 years of education and experience would provide them. So again, this goes back to the increased value thing. Third, prior knowledge of the regulatory environment. So in some places, I'm licensed in Texas. If you go into rural Texas, the regulatory environment is virtually non-existent. And a lot of places throughout the United States, you could just basically do whatever you want. They may not even require a building permit. That is not the case in the Las Vegas area or in any city, major city throughout the United States. You have a regulatory environment, you have various agencies that control different things, planning and zoning, and control setbacks, and neighborhood associations, and building departments, and water authority, and power authority, and gas, and all those. And so the architect has the knowledge of the existence of this information and is probably used to dealing with these various authorities. If not him, then his consultants, civil engineers, electrical, mechanical, plumbing engineers, those people who are good at making sure that your sewer line doesn't have to flow uphill to the sewer out in the street, or so that you don't get your whole job done and then realize that there is no sewer out in the street, and so you have to build a septic system or other things like that. So problem avoidance in understanding the regulatory environment if time is money in your situation, then having that information is also extremely helpful. And this can be provided by others, but again, it's a coordinated effort by the architect if you hire the architect under most standard contracts. Then that leads us into the next one, which is coordinator of the consultants. So again, depending on your project, you're more than likely going to need a structural engineer, civil engineer, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer. Mechanical includes HVAC and plumbing, and possibly a bunch of other consultants. And so normally your architect is going to be the coordinator of all those consultants. Now, alternatively, if you have your contractor provide the plans, then whichever subcontractor gets to the job first is going to be the one that steers the bus. So, for instance, if you say that you are going to have a HVAC sub be the first to the trough, he's going to say, you need 20 tons of air conditioning, and then that essentially steers the look of the outside of your building, because you're going to be hiding air conditioning units on the roof or whatever he's decided. And then later on, when the insulation sub gets involved, he's just going to give you minimum insulation. But as an architect, I might advise you to do more insulation and less tonnage of air conditioning. So that kind of coordination thing also falls to the architect, and generally does not get done well by a contractor who's doing design build. Not always true. We're talking about generalizations here for all this. Even if you already know what you want, the architect is going to offer you a second opinion. I wouldn't hire an architect if you're not going to take his advice. A lot of people hire architects and don't take their advice. I think that's a waste of money. But again, in the example that I just gave you, the architect might advise you that it's better to do this than to do that. Even without a lot of calculation, some things are just known to architects, like what gets you a 5-year payback by using this type of lighting versus reusing the old lighting, or more insulation versus less HVAC, or swamp coolering versus refrigerated air conditioning for a warehouse or something like that. And so the architect can provide you with a second opinion on these things, even if you think you already know what you want. And so if you're open to it, I think that's part of how the architect brings value to the job. Last but not least would be verifying reasonableness in the project's progress. So if there's a discovery in a remodeling job and the client wants to ask the architect, do you think this is something the contractor should have included in his bid, or he wants $50,000 to fix this, do you think that's fair? The architect can offer an opinion about these kind of questions, so that you have a general sense of whether you're getting screwed or not. And then I'll add to that in summary, could be the 7th item, but in summary, it's peace of mind. So when you're done, you feel like you've gone through a process that you did the best you could, that you didn't get robbed by the subcontractors or the general contractor, and that you did what we'll call a good job in the process of doing this. So that would be another thing to think about in whether to hire an architect or not. Thanks a lot.